Hi, my name is Rana Sadek, and I'm going to be discussing national versus global justice. From a social perspective, justice refers to the fair coexistence between people and societies. The article, Global Justice and the Problems of Humanity by Kok-Chor Tan, tries to understand global justice in a broader view rather than that of just domestic justice. This perspective aids in ensuring that crucial problems of global justice are not dismissed because they do not fit the category of domestic justice. Several questions can be asked at this point. One is the extent to which a comparative conception of domestic justice should be used as the preference point of classifying global problems as problems of justice or non-problems. Another question that can be posed is whether the domestic approach is the only parameter for understanding global issues. Can it be used without limiting the evaluation of the problems? The article by Chor Tan looks at two possible approaches to understand the problem of humanity. One, it looks at global issues from an accepted theory of justice originating from domestic context. The other approach gives priority to the issues instead of the theory preservation. The author refers to the principle of universal equalitarianism to illustrate the two methods. The direction taken seeks to understand the extent to which a lack of balance in the global economy is a problem of justice, and if it is, what the correct approach to solving it is. According to the debate, philosophers who adopt the domestic justice approach will first seek to understand whether economic disparities are a problem of justice in the national or state setting. Then they look at it from a global dimension. After that, they determine whether global economic inequality affects people's rights and peaceful coexistence in society. In case equality elements in the global setting do not fit those of justice in the domestic one, then issues of global economic inequality are dismissed as not problems of justice. On the other hand, the problem approach will look at global economics differently. It does not link global issues like inequality to the existing paradigm of state or national justice. However, this approach takes the global inequality as an antecedent problem of justice. This approach believes that any theory that is concerned with global justice should recognize global bias as a problem that affects humanity and provide possible resolutions. People who view global justice differently than domestic justice are not biased in their judgments. This verdict is because, to some extent, some of the things that affect people at local levels are different from people's problems at a global level. One of these differences between global justice and domestic justice is that some global issues may not fit as domestic. They, however, manifest as problems of global justice, making them issues at that level. Such issues include border and immigration issues, state sovereignty concerns, and global economic inequalities. Applying the domestic paradigm as the primary basis for justice will only divert humanity from real-world issues. The problem-based approach will therefore suggest that a more inclusive way of looking at the emerging problems of humankind should be devised. Emphasis should not be put on maintaining theoretical coherence. Various articles compare with this article. Examples include the article about human rights in multiple regions by Shah. This one emphasizes that the issues of human rights are a global problem since these issues are experienced all across the world. The issues include freedom of speech. The article is similar to the one by Tan because the issues point to problems of global justice. Dietzel, in his article, Introducing Global Justice in International Relations Theory, states that international justice theory looks at global justice from a cosmopolitan view. This perspective implies that every individual is equally worth and therefore should be accorded equivalent moral attention. The article looks at global justice from the individual level with an aspect similar to Tan's piece. Tan measures global justice from the perspective of individuals and problems of inequality that they face. Chen, in his article, The Long Road to Global Justice, Peace and Humanity, highlights some of the injustices that people all over the world are facing today. He emphasizes the need for the concept of global justice to take root. Global justice will achieve much in solving people's problems, like global social economic problems and peaceful coexistence among nations. This article relates to Tan's article in the sense that it views global justice as a problem of the people. John Rawls, in The Law of the Peoples, examines whether there should be a responsibility of global inequality of all justice. Rawls argues that we should all look at inequality from a domestic perspective, then apply it to the people's society. Rawls' theory, therefore, adjudicates for the domestic approach of justifying global problems. Most of the problems that humanity faces at domestic level differ with the global issues, obviously at the global stage. Therefore, looking at global justice from the local context will be a biased way of dealing with the problem. Philosophers of the problem-based approach will advocate for a plan that can connect with every issue that affects humanity. This approach is because global justice seeks to understand the problems that affect individuals as opposed to national justice that looks at the state's concerns. Therefore, global justice needs to come up with a possible framework that looks into these problems. Saying that the problem-based approach does not dismiss the domestic theory of justice means that we should seek to understand global issues from a broader perspective. Thank you.